Recorded in front of a live studio audience in Felt Forum, New York City, this film features actor-comedian Eddie Murphy performing a scathing comedy routine. Eddie Murphy's uncle, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and other family members are largely lampooned in sketch segments directed by Robert Townsend. While Murphy sticks to stand-up routines, riffing on fellow black comedians, marriage, and various racial and ethnic stereotypes, among many other topics. The concert is particularly renowned for Murphy's liberal and unrepentant use of expletives, if that's how you say it, like FU and MF and the N-word. It's live, it's delirious also, it's uncut, it's irresistible, it's unmistakably and unapologetically raw. To me, from me to my favorite subscribers, welcome back to Sterling on Sinemas. That's Sinemas with an S. And today on Way Back Wednesdays for the Eddie Murphy Show, it is the one and only Raw that I'll be giving you my review on this very classic stand-up bit. Before I begin, if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Keep on doing what you do. Keep on sharing, keep on liking, keep on commenting. Even the little things matter on this channel. And most importantly, watch me. Because if you don't watch me, you will definitely miss something important. You will definitely miss something funny. You will definitely miss something informative. And something nutty. And something delirious. And something raw. Now, if you did not prefer Delirious, or never heard of Delirious, never was absent during Delirious, or was born after Delirious came out, and you are an Eddie Murphy fan, then Raw is the alternative comedy you must turn to. A much bolder and badder stand-up routine by the Michael Jackson of comedy. The only Michael Jackson of comedy not standing on stage with his four brothers saying MFU and N-word you and filth, filth. Raw takes the talent display from Delirious and takes it off of the charts. Raw unarguably eats the cake as the better stand-up comedy from Eddie that was way ahead of his time, for real, with select bits that are just as prevalent in real time as they were back in 1987, such as love, American women, finances, marriage, and sex. Let me give you a sample of that. Eddie Murphy says, love and money do not mix. They do not mix, especially when you have an American woman who's very all up into this love and romance, and she's financially conscious and very business conscious and very resourceful. Something like that. Oh, it sticks. Now, depending on who you are, you may argue about which is more derogatory, which is more vulgar, or which contains more explicit content between this and Delirious. But a lot of people would argue it's Delirious because this is a younger, more ignorant, less developed Eddie Murphy. And this is 4 years later, so he's a little bit developed. And some would say he holds back a little. But I'll say that he says more F words in this than he does in the last bit. And his content is a lot more explicit. He talking about swinging parts, getting in fights, and having STDs, and how it's like playing dice, playing Russian roulette, how sometimes what you expect is not what you're expecting. So, this entire segment of love, American women, finances, marriage, and sex, this entire segment just sticks and holds down like a flagpole in concrete. Because that's how timeless it is. This timeless issue and this timeless discussion topic about these five main things really sticks, and it still holds up, and it still goes on today. We also get more of those moments that are only a product of its time, but still remain pure genius. But unlike Delirious, these jokes will always remain side-splittingly hysterical. And depending on how you respond determines on what you think of the humor. I, for one, did not catch a breath when I first watched this, and he did Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor, like, did the people laugh when you say what you say? And do you get paid? Then tell him I said, have a Coke and a smile and shut the F up. You're jello pudding eating mother. And Michael Jackson during his bad era. It was just, when I first saw this, I was on YouTube and I was scrolling through impressions because I heard that he was very good at some of his impressions. And I saw Bill Cosby, Richard Pryor, and I clicked it, and I could not breathe for an hour. But this is just unreal and a testament to Eddie Murphy's God tier impressions. The storytelling also, in almost every bit of the stand-up, does not really have to be appealing to modern audiences to be received as brilliant or as bizarre, as they are bizarre, such as the infamous Dexter St. Jacques. In his words, he states, you know, when a woman will start to fool around, eventually you keep screwing her over, she'll say something like, you know what, I'm going to go to the Bahamas by yourself. You want me to go with you? You want me to go with you? No, I'll go to the Bahamas by myself, just me and my girlfriends. You're going to send her to the Bahamas by herself? By herself to the Bahamas? She's walking on a suntan beach with a nice body, seeing all the lovers, all the couples making love on the beach, on their benches. The moon is shimmying off the ocean. She's sitting on the chair all by herself. And out of nowhere, a dude named Dexter walks up. Some mandingo king walks up just swinging. And then he'll do the smooth Bahama accent on you. And then when he finds out you don't have your lover, he'll take you back to his hotel that's this big, and he'll do the do on you, and that's when Bob Marley will start going into the mix. Like, don't let him fool you, oh no. Da 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 da. Why must I school you, oh yeah. Could this be love? It be love. And then she'll come home singing, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't kill the deputy. Things like that. That's how well the storytelling is. Now, I didn't mention this before, but as of right now, this is a little off topic. I won't even sink into this. But as far as storytelling, my favorite comedian is Gabriel Iglesias, is Fluffy. He is the best storyteller I've ever seen on stage. But as far as this period was concerned, he was the best storyteller of his time when it came to his stand-up act. But of course, he only got it from the best. He only got that from Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor. Now, amidst the achievement of being the highest grossing stand-up film of all time, or at least that's what is still believed to be, if not beaten by Kevin Hart's What Now?, which is also a stand-up film, I do not know of any cultural impact Raw has had on the world that Delirious had not made already. But it would help to plant more seeds than one. The big takeaway from Eddie Murphy's Bill Cosby story is how he was chastised on the phone for being too dirty on stage because it was real weird. He ain't never met him, and he was Bill, and he called him up and told him what comedy is all about. So he watched and listened to this man chastise him, and when Bill Cosby chastises him, he forgets he grown. He feels like one of the Cosby kids. So he ran up to the house and saw excited to talk to Bill, picked up the telephone, and that's when he got raw and went all up into the whole lecturing about what is and what should not be and how I can't say you don't say filth, filth, in front of people. And, I was offended, so I just had to hang up on his hand. But no one could ever guess that this would continue to be an issue that Bill had 5 years later. The biggest household names in the comedy world mainly came from Saturday Night Live. And if not Saturday Night Live, it would come from, alternatively, as millennials know, In Living Color, which is how the Wayans established themselves as comedic powerhouses, or Def Comedy Jam by Russell Simmons, who was responsible for bringing up comedians like Chris Tucker, Dave Chappelle, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart, J.B. Smoove, Steve Harvey was on there sometimes, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hewley, Bernie Mac, the Mac Man. So as you get the idea, if those guys, those other comedy names that didn't come from SNL or In Living Color, and they did because Jim Carrey and Jamie Foxx got their start on In Living Color, and look at them now. But Def Comedy Jam was groundbreaking mainly for introducing the world to more people like Eddie. Now, Eddie Murphy would have been way too good for Def Jam, but this was also just a great avenue to introduce the world to introduce urban black comedy into the mainstream entertainment. But of course, controversy comes with that type of content. But that was the whole point. When there's controversy, they would respond to it faster. They would be the first responders better than the news would or than the police. So if something weekly happened, if something was trending, If something was trending during that time on the news, they would respond to it with a joke faster than the news would. And that's how great they were. That's how big they were. And that's how major they were. So Def Comedy Jam was responsible for bringing up young black comedians who had comedy potential in their system, and half of them would become mainstays in comedy. The ones that I've said by name are the ones that I know became mainstays in comedy. Everybody else probably either found their own way or they fell short. So in a way, Raw became just as influential as Delirious. Raw influenced people in a way that Delirious had not before. All right. Rotten Tomatoes gives it an 80% score. 80%, sorry. I think when you ask somebody what stand-up comedy should look like, everybody points towards Raw. It is a stand-up film that does whatever it takes to live up to its title, which it does. It most certainly achieves that goal, even when that means mixing humor that sticks and can be thought-provoking at the same time. And that alone, children, Gen Zers, my fellow man, is what helps Raw stand the test of time and will continue to stand the test of time. So when there comes a day, and I pray that Eddie Murphy will do stand-up again, like where he comes back and he just talks about, he gives his thoughts on things like Instagram and TikTok and Vines and all the other modern trends. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But of course, with him being an older person, with him being a much older celebrity that's not really in the spotlight as much as he was back then, yes, he would have to tone it down a little, as a lot of people would say. He would have to tone it down and not be as dark as he was back in his prime. So, Raw deserves a 9 SOs out of 10. It is amazing. It is resilient. It's resilient. It is relentless. But that is my review on Eddie Murphy Raw. If you have seen it, please give me your thoughts on the comments below. I would love to hear what you have to say about this one right here. And if you have not seen Raw, I highly recommend you go watch it. Talking to my fellow Gen Zers, my fellow man. If you're over 18, if you're under 18, I don't care if you've seen this stuff before, you just go ahead and you don't have to see it. But if you're over 18, go ahead and watch it whenever you have the time. If you have Netflix, it is there. Do it while it is still on there before it leaves. And if you don't, get a Netflix account, go stream it, and watch and enjoy and laugh until you cannot laugh no more. So that is my review, and I hope you all enjoyed everything I had to say about this classic, and I'll see you guys next time.